timing, there are very few honeybees around today. While in the summer months, one could barely take a step through these gardens without seeing at least one perched upon a flower. During winter, honeybees descend into their own version of hibernation, leaving on stored honey and pollen, and sleeping together in a ball to conserve warmth. It's over this period their larvae develop and grow, so that when the summer months come again, the hive is swarming with new bees. In their natural environment, honeybees tend to live within large hollowed spaces, such as the trunks of trees or fallen logs. To furnish, they use beeswax to line their walls with little hexagon-shaped cubbies that are used to store everything from eggs to pollen to honey. Their hive is sealed and protected against disease through a substance called propolis, a combination of beeswax, honey, and tree resin. There are 3 types of honeybees: worker bees, drones, and the queen, and each has their own role to play to ensure correct functioning of the hive. First are the worker bees, who include all females of the hive, bar the queen. They are the only bees seen outside the hive and are the ones who search for food, such as pollen and nectar, and ensure that the hive is protected. Second are the drone bees, who are all male. Over the warmer months, there are up to several hundred drone bees living within one hive. However, during the winter months, they are expelled to ensure survival. To spread genetic material between the populaces and optimize survival, it's the drone bee's job to mate with the queen of neighboring hives, which leads us to the third and final known bee type, the queen. Only one queen is present in the hive at once, and it is her job to repopulate it. The queen is the hive's only fertile member, and during spring and summer she can lay up to 15,000 eggs per day. She never leaves the hive except for when the colony swarms, meaning when they search for a new home, or during the first 3 days after her birth, where she goes out and mates with 15 plus drones before returning home to begin reproducing. According to Price, there's a certain criterion that an animal must meet to determine whether it is capable of domestication. However, first I would like to define domestication. Here, it refers to the process by which a population of animals adapts to man and its captive environment through genetic and environmental change. The honeybee cannot be domesticated in the way that the dog or cat can. They are much smaller, thus much harder to control, understand, and train. Nevertheless, man has been profiting from the honeybee since prehistory, where research suggests that we used to smoke to subdue them and take their honeycomb. Unearthed documents indicate that during the Middle Ages, man would plant signs by trees where honeybees lived, marking their hive and the spoils that it would produce as their own. Over the past 200 years, beekeeping has become a commonly recognised hobby and profession. The development of specially designed man-made hives, protective beekeeping uniforms, and a number of how to keep bees books. The point is that at first glance, one wouldn't think to clarify honeybees as a domesticated creature. But over hundreds of years, they are perfectly adapted to be able to function in a captive, man-made environment. Therefore, according to Price, honeybees have a number of qualities favouring the notion that it can be domesticated. As outlined above, honeybees tolerate human management, are capable of adapting to a wide range of climate conditions, and provide us with a number of beneficial resources such as honey and plant pollination. However, beekeeping and the domestication of the honeybee are the only times that our species interact. Of course, the most commonly thought of interaction is honey, made by bees and taken and eaten by us. The second is pollination, whereby honeybees move pollen across a plant's reproductive system so that it can reproduce fruits, vegetables, and nuts for our consumption. And third is the effect that the spread of human activity has had on the populaces, and the extent that we have exploited the honeybee over the years. Honeybees are a critical factor in a plant's reproductive cycle, and thus are responsible for the production of 1/3 of the world's food supply, specifically certain vegetables, fruit, and nuts. However, over the past 50 years, we've increased the amount of chemicals and pesticides used in our agricultural practices, and through the expansion of our race, have destroyed many insect habitats, including that of the bee. Each of these factors have resulted in a significant reduction to the honeybee population, to the extent that there are no longer enough honeybees in the world to effectively pollinate our farm crops. As a result, honeybee pollination services have developed, where a beekeeper can rent their honeybees colony to a farmer to pollinate their crops for the bloom season, usually lasting approximately 4 weeks. However, Such human-honeybee interactions are commonly criticised as acts of exploitation. Unlike most other animals who we have exploited for hundreds of years by processes such as artificial selection, honeybees are relatively unaffected by human activity. It has only been 100 years or so since we've discovered how a honeybee breeds, and just 35 years since we've truly learned how to artificially breed them through instrumental insemination. Such studies have resulted in numerous novel strains of honeybees, such as bees that prefer alfalfa pollen, bees immune to certain viruses, and bees with greater honey production. Just like our exploitation of other animals, each so-called advancement in our knowledge of the honeybee has been uncovered as a way to determine how to increase their worth to us. For example, an increase in honey production, more efficient pollination strategies, and a greater breeding rate all make the honeybee a much more valuable asset to our way of living. But iron is the most important factor to consider. Would the honeybee function more effectively and more efficiently if we left them to work without our intervention, as they already have for hundreds of years? Is it the honeybees' fault that we have diminished their population, destroyed their homes, and poisoned their plants, their food sources? Does a honeybee deserve to be experimented on, transferred to man-made hives, and then rented out at our convenience, even if it is in the name of conservation? Thank you.